Who the Wild Things Are with Ryan Maguire.
You gotta listen to your body.
Oh my God, maybe, I could get out there, I could do this.
Let's take a ride, find your wild side, real stories, see with your own eyes.
It's so beautiful.
I'm gonna have the best time out here.
I was in tears, I was like, that's the best, man.
Welcome back to Who the Wild Things Are. My name is Ryan Maguire, and I'm here to bring you conversations with the most wild folks on the planet. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend. Appreciate you guys. Let's get it going. Okay, great news. For 2026, Last Mountain Man Standing is returning to Conifer, Colorado. What that means is we're going to be racing through the Rocky Mountains. It's a four-mile loop with Mountain Man style obstacles. If you make it through the loop in 1 hour, you get to keep going. If you make it through 6 loops, the 7th loop is a race on the same course to decide the last mountain man and woman standing. They will each win the cash prize and take it home with them, be crowned victorious. If you don't want to get competitive, you just want to come out, we're going to have a beautiful mountain camp set up with vendors, good vibes, everyone hanging out. You can do a single lap. We call that the Foxtrot for a discounted price. And ultimately, it's just a great day in the mountains. July 18th is when it's going down, and I hope to see you guys there. All right, welcome back to Who Wild Things Are. We have the legendary Eli Hemming in the house. Eli, thanks for joining today on your busy schedule.
Oh, thanks for having me. I don't know if legendary is the right word for me, but thanks.
Yeah, I think the first time you came onto my radar, I was racing Desert Rats, and you were there as well. And you kind of just annihilated the entire field. And I was like, who is this Eli Hemming guy? Got to get him on the pod, got to learn a little bit about him. So that was kind of the genesis.
That's an awesome race. It's a pretty fun one. It's actually like one of the few races that I can get to locally, semi-locally. Like it's only a few hour drive, but that actually brings in some serious competition because I definitely did not run away with that race. I had some serious competition in that race.
Yeah, there's a really solid field for sure at all the distances. And I saw Tabor also got a dub that day. So good day for the household overall.
Yeah, we enjoy Fruta for sure.
Yeah, it's great, right? Like you have amazing biking trails, pretty good access for us Coloradoans. It's like a couple hours drive, so super easy weekend trip. So yeah, sick.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's amazing how you can go from being in the mountains right there, and then all of a sudden you are in the deep desert. Like it's a wild topography change for sure.
Yeah, it is. Before we get too deep down, like the ultra path, I want to kind of step back for a second and talk a little bit about kind of how you got here. Your story is a little bit different maybe than some, growing up kind of in this triathlon kind of background. Tell me how that started. What was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, so I'm one of the few people that can say that they've done triathlon like most of their life. My mom was a triathlete when she was in college and kind of going through. She was a swim coach longer than I've been alive. So I popped out straight to the pool, straight to swim practice. I was on the swim team year round. And then when, I was probably 6 or 7, me and my siblings, I have 2 older siblings. And we just asked her, hey, like, we want to do some triathlons too. Like we see you doing these things. It's pretty fun. Like, let's do that. And also very lucky where I grew up because Colorado is the only place that you can do triathlon at the age of 7. So my mom got us to, me and my 2 siblings, we each got one friend and we started a triathlon team in 2002 or 2003. And so pretty much I was indoctrinated into triathlon at the age of 7 and didn't really stop until mid-20s.
How did that look? You know, I grew up more in the team sports world where it's it's a bargain with the kid, right? To get him to go to practice. Sometimes he's throwing a fit, whatever. How does that look like prescribing training? Because prescribing training for adults can be challenging. Like, how does it look for getting a kid to commit to a 2 hour zone 3 bike ride around the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, when obviously like when you're 7 to 10 years old, you're not really doing much training. It's kind of like you're hanging out with your friends, you're playing ultimate frisbee, you're just doing like semi-athletic things, calling it training, and just kind of getting the gist of like the skills that come along with triathlon. So doing like tight turns on your bike and doing like practicing skills on your bike. You're doing swim practice, which is kind of, I'm amazed that they get so many young kids to swim so much, but and so yeah, it really started off as more of a good thing to do with my friends. I was already at the pool because my mom would take us in, and she'd coach swim practice every day from like 3 to 9 p.m. pretty much.
Mm.
So we were at the pool anyways. I was not forced into doing those sports. It's kind of funny, like being at the pool and everything, you're like, I might as well just do the sport. Like, otherwise, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. And my parents had a rule when we were growing up, that was, I don't care what you do, but you have to do something. So you have to do a sport. You have to do something, and you're gonna have to go like all in on it. You got to do it well. So like, I tried every other sport that I could think of. Like I tried some football, I tried some t-ball, I tried those other things. And I was awful at all of those. Hand-eye coordination is not my skill. So it kind of was just out of convenience at first. Oh well, I'm already here, like, and it was kind of my social outlet, really.
Which of the disciplines was kind of like your natural skill set between the run, bike, and swim?
I would put myself kind of on par for running and cycling. Funny enough, like again, growing up, being next to the pool, I should be a better swimmer than I am, but sometimes it just doesn't click.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like I know quite a few athletes who grew up like in that competitive swimming world, like the 3:30 a.m. wake up calls before school and like the really competitive thing, and they don't swim now, but they're aerobically super strong because of that kind of like fundamental thing. And you don't think of like swimming necessarily as like the one to get you there, but at least from what I've seen, this is totally anecdotal. The swimmers, excuse me, the swimmers like built like a really good base that ends up carrying over into biking, swimming, what have you.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's a great way of actually getting kids. Like, there's very few sports that kids that early are doing aerobic work. Like, you're not really running around too much when you're playing football. Like, you're stopping every
Right.
5 seconds, and as a kid, it's even more, right? Like, so it's one of the few sports that super young it is early specialization. So I think you do get a little bit of a head start on that aerobic building.
And so right now, like to the average person listening, this sounds like, oh, he's like kind of into triathlon, like, oh, that's like cute, right? But you actually became, debatably like the best in the country, right? Like this progression happens, you kind of skyrocket into the sport. Talk to me a little bit about like when does it turn from Eli's hanging out with his friends to Eli's training to compete internationally and be the best?
Well, I mean, it was a pretty long, like it wasn't necessarily like one day all of a sudden it was swapped. It was kind of just an evolution of, it was something that I always did with my friends. Um, Funny enough, like my friends at a young age, like when I was 13, I was probably the fourth best triathlete in Parker, Colorado. So like all of my friends were better than me. It was just one of those, like, it took me a while to get there. Which I don't know, I don't think is a bad thing. I think it taught me how to work hard, but uh I think it was kind of, there was a little bit of a switch. In triathlon, you kind of have two different roads to go down. You can go the like draft legal, which is the Olympic style of racing. Um, so that is a little bit more of like a high end, like crazy fast racing. You swim really fast, you ride in a bike pack, and then you're expected to run. I mean, at the top end of the sport, you're expected to run under a 30-minute 10K and under a 14-minute 5K in the triathlon. So like it's all just like crazy fast stuff. or you can go like the long course, which is non-drafting, which is basically a big time trial. So the idea of it is that you're not supposed to be able to draft on the bike. You're not supposed to, you are whoever gets to the finish line first. It doesn't matter if you're a bad swimmer, you better be a good cyclist then. But if you're a bad swimmer in draft legal triathlon, you're not going to get to the run with, basically you're fighting to get to the race, and the run is the race.
Right.
Yeah. So I was going the draft legal triathlon route. And as a 16 to 19-year-old, that's your junior elite category. And it gets surprisingly competitive very early. Like 16 to 19-year-olds, you're kind of still like, oh, these guys are just like kids, right? At that point, I was traveling internationally. I was going to like New Zealand, to London, to the World Championships. And that's kind of where I was like, wow, like this can actually get me to some really cool places. And kind of that, I would say that was kind of the start of that. And then, I mean, long story short, there's not a whole lot of collegiate athletics you can do a triathlon. So I went to go run in college to pay for school, because triathlon obviously wasn't going to pay for school, but wasn't really my whole thing. The program wasn't working out for me, and so I just dropped that, started going to school online, and went professional in triathlon when I was 20 years old.
Where did you go to school to run?
Metro State in Denver. It's a little
Okay,
D2
yeah.
school. Yeah.
Nice. It's an interesting story, especially given where you ended up. But one thing that strikes me about like the triathlon, whether it's, the JAF legal stuff that you're talking about, or like the ultra distance triathlons, like, is the financial burden and cost, right? Like up front. I just bought my first nice bicycle this year, and I'm like a grown ass man, and I was like, wow, it cost how much for a nice bicycle?
Mhm.
What is that like, in those earlier years? Like, because I'm sure as you get older and you establish yourself, you have sponsors, right, that can help share that burden. It's probably like a pretty big financial sacrifice that your parents were making to like bring this dream to life. Okay, July 1st to the 5th, the Primitive Skills Run is returning to Colorado. What this means is we're going to be doing an ultralight trip, learning how to live off the land, learning how to forage wild edibles and catch fish, living really like our ancestors used to. It's going to be July 1st to the 5th. To sign up, you can go to thesurvivaluniversity.com, or you can go to the link in my bio. And remember, you don't have to be a runner necessarily to go on the Primitive Skills Run, but you do need to have a general level of fitness. If you have any questions, I can provide all the information. Just reach out to me personally or check out the website for more details. Hope to see you in the bush.
Absolutely. Like they are saints for what they did. Triathlon is definitely one of those first world sports that is not easy to get into. And so doing all those traveling internationally, luckily I was at a point when I was in those junior races that USA Triathlon deemed me like I had potential enough that they were helping me pay to go to races. And then if you raced well, they would help you out there. But all that to be said, it's a very expensive sport to get into, and I can't thank my parents enough for forking that bill.
Yeah, shout out mom and dad.
Shout out mom and dad.
Why not Ironman? Why not that path?
Yeah, so I guess I don't necessarily know why I didn't go down that when I was a little bit younger. Honestly, I saw that as so I'll just say this. Being in an Olympic sport, you live in a 4-year cycle. And at the end of every 4 years, you decide if you want to hop back on the train or you want to hop off the train. And so it's kind of one of those. I was not really in the running for the Rio Olympics. That was pretty early on when I actually went professional. So it was kind of, I was just making a name for myself there. But then I was all in for trying to make it to Tokyo for the Tokyo Olympics. And I was on track, kind of some rough stuff happened. And then terrible timing, broke my foot in the qualification period of like, I got a little ambitious with training as you do. And didn't make it to the Tokyo Olympics. And my first thought was, okay, well, I don't want to go another 4 years for Paris. Like that was too much time away from my family. I was traveling basically 11 months out of the year, and I'm kind of a homebody. I enjoy being at home. But like the first year as I was a quote unquote professional, I was home for 2 weeks.
Wow.
So my first thought was I probably will go long course. Even looking at it now, I probably would be making more money doing that. But at the same time, my wife was going through kind of her own little crisis of what she wanted to do with her life. She ran track and cross country at CU in Boulder. And then afterwards, she was like, I don't really want to race track all my life. I don't like track that much. And so she kind of just like talked me into randomly hopping into a trail race and did it. Kind of joked about, hey, we could be trail running vagabonds. Like we could just buy a van and just go to trail races, and that'd be pretty fun. Like the money will work it out. So work it out eventually, I guess, figure that one out. But yeah, it was kind of just literally a small race in Buena Vista that changed my mind of, I don't think I'm going to go long course. I think I'm just going to go almost change my sport completely.
How did you and Tabor meet?
Yeah, so that was kind of a longer story, but we had a mutual family friend that basically from the age of 13, she'd like every time I see her like, hey, I have a girl for you. And I was classic 13-year-old, like, no, you don't. There's no way. Like, absolutely not. And she was doing the exact same thing to Tabor, just, I got a boy for you. And eventually, Tabor actually found a picture of me, like, this is 10 years later. She saw a picture of me hanging out with one of her friends on Instagram. She's like, I know that guy. And so she got the number from that mutual family friend and texts me or DMs me and asks if I want to get coffee. And so it was a long time coming, and that family friend was absolutely correct that we were the right people for each other.
That's some serious insight right there.
Yeah, she was right.
Well, yeah, you probably got to give her like a really good Christmas gift each year or something. Like, hey, thanks again for figuring out the rest of my life. I appreciate
it. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. So when you know, obviously, I'm sure there was like a lot of emotions and things going on. You're trying to get to the Olympics, doesn't work out. What were the steps to get into trail running? Because like for folks that maybe aren't in this world, they might think, oh, like running is running, but like triathlon and trail ultras are very different sports. What were the steps in that evolution?
Yeah. So I definitely didn't think I was gonna like go straight pretty quickly into ultra racing. Like that happened surprisingly quickly. A little bit of a backstory. As I was in high school running cross country, my high school cross country coach would he would run the Leadville 100 every single year. And so he would take his varsity team to pace him. So I had paced at Leadville and I knew what like ultra racing was. And I was like, eventually I'd like to do that. Like I want to do that one day. That's really cool. And like the community is absolutely amazing, but never did I think that was going to happen as quickly as it did. I would say kind of as the timeline went, it was pretty much just we hopped in that one race in Buena Vista, joked about becoming trail runners. Tabor was a lot quicker on the ball of that of like, yeah, I'm going to keep signing up for races. I was just coming back from my broken foot. So it was like, I'm not really running. I'm not really training a whole lot. So we're kind of just seeing what we got here. And she signed up for like the US Mountain Running National Championships. took me there with her. That's when it was in Portland. And then at the end of the year, just straight up hopped into the Moab Marathon, which is a really cool trail race that goes like through the red rocks and all the slick rock of Moab. And that was the national championship trail marathon, which was kind of cool. And then, yeah, very quickly it was just like, well, we've already done a marathon. Let's try a 50K, see what happens.
It's awesome. Did you go get a coach, or were you self-coached going into trails?
So Tabor had been working a little bit with David Roach. So we started working with him just as we like stepped into the trail space. And so we worked with David Roach for a minute. And that was our first like trail coach.
Great pick. Great guy to go to.
Yeah.
It's yeah, definitely a wealth of knowledge, and I guess that resonates, right? Because the Leadville thing, right? You're talking about
it works.
like your connection to Leadville. He ends up setting back-to-back course records there. So yeah, that all tracks and makes a lot of sense. And okay, so that adds like a little bit of interesting flavor to that relationship, probably, because you guys raced last year at gosh, what's that race called in California?
Big Alta.
Slipping on. Big Alta. Yeah.
Yes.
So you end up racing your old coach.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, no,
That's
so
pretty sweet.
we're good friends with David and Megan. They actually came to our wedding.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like so it's a good like healthy friendship. We text each other regularly, so every time like he pops off at a race, we send a big long text like, that was absolutely insane.
Yeah. No, that's so epic. Yeah, I've talked to David about coming on this show, but we just haven't made it happen yet. He's a busy guy and got kids. So
Yeah, he's a very busy guy.
Anybody with kids, there's like a whole another level of life.
Yes.
Um,
Kids,
so
coaching
now
empire. He's
Yeah.
got it all. He's got a very
yeah,
busy
he's got a
life.
lot. And now Instagram Reels, big Reels guy now.
Oh yeah, that'll take your time. Those take way too much time. I can't do them. I haven't
Yeah, no,
figured that one out yet.
I luckily, Nicole, my partner, is very good at all of that stuff. Even like this, like she set all this up, the emails you got, it's all her. I'm just like, I'm talking, but I literally can't handle any of the other stuff. So it's challenging for me as well.
Yeah, we're working on the whole social media thing. I'm better at the running than I am at the social media.
Well, I would hope so, because if you were better at social media, that would mean you're like really fucking elite, and I would be impressed if you were both. I did hear I listened to your guys' podcast, which I actually thought was really, really well done.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a big Joshua Tree guy, so I was like, oh, let me check out their podcast. And I saw it was like maybe like 2 episodes back or 3 episodes back was you guys talking about doing the Joshua Tree FKT, and I listened to that whole story. And yeah, I thought it was really well done. I liked it a lot.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we kind of have fun with the podcast. It's our place to just kind of talk long form. Like it's one of those I don't edit a single thing on them. I literally just put it in GarageBand and say, I hope that sounds great, and I push it, send, and then go on.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this is edited, so yeah, same thing. It's pretty much just get it how it comes, and however it comes out, we hit send. Because I don't know, I feel like if you overproduce that stuff, Nicole has a background like doing professional podcasts for like companies, and they're very like particular, right? Like there can't be there can't be pauses, there can't be downtime. I'm just like, whatever, just send it.
I don't know. I think it's a good place for conversations, and you always have ums and ahs, and that's real talking, right?
Right. Yeah, there's always those breaks in like real life, and so I think it's healthy. I think it's easier to listen to. Specifically on that episode, the Joshua Tree one, I want to hear a little bit about that. Like for me, Joshua Tree is such like a special, weird, unique environment. Like if you've never been there, it's like hard to understand what I'm saying, but like it just has this like different feel about it. Yeah, tell me a little bit about you guys, your adventure there. August 26th to the 30th, we are doing our Field to Feast trip. What that means, it's a 5-day trip where you're going to learn how to safely and responsibly dispatch an animal, process that animal, and learn to actually live on it while traveling through the wild with a band of beautiful humans. It's going to be in an amazingly beautiful area. We're going to learn how to forage wild edibles. We're going to learn how to make fire. We're going to learn all the skills you need to process an animal and use that animal, live with that animal for 5 days, and we're going to laugh a lot while we do it. So if you guys are interested, you can go to survivaluniversity.com, or you can go to the link in my bio on Instagram, or you can just reach out to me, ask me a question. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Love you guys. Hope to see you in the bush.
Yeah, so I fully agree. It is the strangest place I've ever been. It is. So I was corrected on the podcast. I said that Joshua Tree is the only place that Joshua trees are actually grow. There is like very few places that they grow, but it's a very, very specific ecosystem that they can grow. I think the best and my favorite way to describe them is think of like the Dr. Seuss trees. And that is what Joshua Tree looks like. They are not like clumped together. They are all like awkwardly far apart. And then you just have this like long, tall tree with just these spikes sticking out of the end. It is absolutely hilarious. And then the landscape is wild. But we went down. This was our second time down there, actually. The first time I think the first time was actually kind of a funnier idea because we had just signed with Adidas and we didn't really know how the bonus structure worked, but they do bonus certain FKTs and everything. So like we were like, okay, on January 1st, the first day of our contract, we're gonna send them a bill for our bonus. Little did we know that it didn't pay out until the end of the year, but we thought we were going to be so funny and like, this is what you get for signing us. Like on the first day of our contract, we're going to ask for a bonus. No, it is absolutely a wonderful place. The traverse is 37 miles from end to end, and you do get to run through pretty wild area. Again, it is just, I think it's hard to describe until you actually go there. It's nothing like I've ever seen and absolutely worth doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the trees are weird. They've got like, they're built like anti-gravitational, where like the bulk of it's up high and like the bottom skinny, which doesn't make sense, right? And they're basically like these yucca plants they're not trees, but they're kind of like trees. Yeah, it's very, very weird. I've heard that. I don't know if this is true, so somebody's probably going to roast me in the comments. I've heard that Joshua Tree comes from the Mormons. That the Mormons got there and named it.
Yes, that's what they've said. I don't know if that's true or not either. On our podcast, we kind of joke that we're here for just talking. We can say whatever we want, and if you want to correct us, you can. So we're going to go with it. In that spirit. No, totally. It was, I do know that they grow exceptionally slow though. They grow like a half an inch a year. So you'll see these like 20-foot tall trees. Like it takes a while to get there. So actually like going into the Joshua Tree Forest, you're going into some serious history.
Yeah. Some ancient artifacts. It's like those bonsai trees in Asia that are, they're 10,000 or could be 10,000 years old. No one really knows, but they're only like this big,
Right.
So, last question I want to ask about Joshua Tree, and this is one of my best friends who's a really good rock climber. He took me into the Chasm of Doom, I think it was called. Have you heard about this?
I saw a sign for it and I really wanted to go to it, but we were like running a little bit low on time. We're like, okay, well, we want to go play on some rocks, but I don't think we have time to go all the way like into some serious like actual rock climbing. Also, because Tabor and I don't have the skills to do like real climbing. So we're like, we're going to stay on the small rocks and enjoy those and maybe next time.
Yeah, totally. We climbed in there quite a bit, me and my buddy. So they made the ratings for Joshua Tree famously when the Yosemite system was closed at 510 and now goes to 515. But the relevance stayed because something that was a 5.9 back then was just under the hardest rank possible. 5.9 is now thought to be like pretty easy for a lot of folks, but a 5.9 in Joshua Tree is like really hard climbing often because it was made at a different time. So that's an interesting little Joshua Tree fact. But there's this thing called the Chasm of Doom, and you essentially like snake your body down into this thing, and it's like a tiny little hole, at least for me. And you're like doing all these weird moves. My friend, of course, did not allow us to bring headlamps. He also said we could only make bird noises. So he wouldn't let me talk to him. And we basically just bird noised each other through these caves. And then it kind of shoots you out, and you're like in this beautiful outlook in Joshua Tree. So if anyone is ever going there, definitely look up the Chasm of Doom. It's super epic.
And remember that you have to only talk with bird calls.
Bird calls.
There's no
headlight.
talking allowed. Yes, there's no talking allowed in the Chasm of Doom.
Yeah, it was really cool. So talk to me a little bit about this year. What's on the agenda for Eli? What's the A race? And then what are kind of the things building up to the A race?
Yeah, so honestly, a little bit of this year is still in question. I'm still kind of making my schedule. My plan is to make one of the races at UTMB week my A race. I absolutely love racing in kind of that. It's hard to call it just the Chamonix Valley when you start racing a little bit longer because you leave the valley. But in those areas, I absolutely love those. I do need some redemption on CCC, but then also UTMB's kind of picking at me a little bit, and I kind of want to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I do still have to qualify for those races. So I'll be going back to Desert Rats for the 100K. That'll give me the option of doing whichever race that I want at. It kind of depends on what happens these next few races, because lining up in just a couple weeks for Black Canyon 100K. And then, yeah, after that, it's kind of just qualify for UTMB week and then make a good schedule after that.
Yeah, and so for folks that don't know, like UTMB, and which is Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc, and the UTMB series is kind of, your World Series of international trail running. And I think the way it works, correct me if I'm wrong, is you can only go one step up or down for your qualification.
That's correct.
So in order to knock out that qualification for the 100 mile, which is UTMB, you would need either a 100K ticket or a 100 mile ticket, right?
Right. So
you can't win the 10K and then qualify for the 100 miler.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to do the 100K at Desert Rats, and it gives me the option that if I'm still weirdly questioning that, I can do that race. Because I don't know. I can't even put it to words on why it kind of itches at me, but I feel the need to do it. Like I saw last year, they had just absolutely like heinous conditions. It was snowing, like blizzarding sideways through the night. And I was like, I don't know, that's kind of cool. Like it's you're going through an adventure. Like you're actually going through some stuff. Whereas the shorter races nowadays, they're fast. They're very really fast races. Yeah.
Yeah. And UTMB, you're going through the Alps in 3 different countries.
Yes.
The vert profile and technicality is such that there's kind of a barometer, or like we have a pretty good idea of like what's possible speed wise. Every other race like over the last 5 years has just gotten like way faster because athletes have figured out fueling, training, technology, shoes. But it just seems like when you look at things like Hard Rock or UTMB with those crazy vert profiles, like it's going to be gnarly no matter what technology training you do. It's going to be a battle.
Absolutely. I think there's a bit more other things that go into it besides just like, it's not just fitness. It's not just your gear. There's a lot of mental strength that you need there. That's kind of a cool concept of ultra running.
Have you done 100 milers or just 100Ks?
I've only done 100Ks. I've only done a couple 100Ks. So, yeah, I got a couple 100Ks lined up this spring, and I think that'll help me make my decision on if I actually want to try a 100 miler this year or not.
Yeah, I kind of went the opposite way where I was like, I just went straight to 100 milers because, like, obviously I'm not the same kind of runner you are, but I was just like, if I go to 100K first, then I'm going to feel how bad that hurts. And I'm going to be like, I'm never doing 100 miles. So I was like, let me just do 100 miles, I'll get it done, and then everything else will kind of feel relatively doable.
Right. No, yeah, I definitely stuck in the 50Ks for quite a while. And that's really my happy place of I know that I know how to train and race a 50K. Uh, but and those hurt quite a bit too. So it's scary lining up for 100K still. So yeah, we'll see if I still have that urge after racing another couple 100Ks.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it was Joe Gray that was like basically saying the reason people do 100 milers is because they're scared of pain, which is like a 100 miler like hurts a little bit for a long time, but it doesn't hurt nearly as bad or as intensely as like really racing a 50K.
Right. No, I think my favorite way to describe the pain of long races versus short races, like thinking is just pain versus suffering. The
Mm,
ultimate pain is running at 800 meters on the track. There's nothing more
totally.
painful than that. Like 400 is still short enough that like it's only the last 100 that you're like locking up. 800 is just painful. And whereas 100 miles, you're just suffering the whole time. Like if you're running hard enough that you're competing at these top level ultras, it is suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard in the front. I mean, and suffering for the people at the back too, right?
Yeah.
Like whenever I finish 100 and I like kind of look, I'm like, oh my God, there's people that have a long way to go and they've been out here just as long. And that is probably worse. Like that probably is pain and suffering and
Yes.
everything.
No, that it is actually like amazing. Like guys lining up for Western states, trying to finish it in under 14 hours, and then thinking about people doing it in over double that and running just as
Yeah.
hard just for double that. It's wild.
It's really impressive. And yeah, you got to give your hats off to anyone who's willing to toe the line at 100, period. It's just like that's an act of bravery in itself.
For sure.
The last podcast I recorded is with a guy that I coach. He's formerly 500 pounds. He's down to 285 pounds, and he's
Wow.
going to be the heaviest person to ever run Leadville.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and yeah, I mean that's just like bravery, right? Like trying to step out and do something that no one's ever done or didn't think was possible. So yeah, it's an interesting story.
No, that's absolutely amazing. That's very different than anything that I come from, right? Like I've done
Totally.
athletics my entire life. Like this is just part of who I am. Like actually going through losing half of your body weight. He must feel good running, huh? Compared to
Yeah,
what he
I mean,
did.
yeah, I'm sure comparatively,
Relative to what he did. Yes.
100%. Yeah, yeah, he's doing good, and that actually, that just sparked my mind because with him, obviously, a lot of cross training, right? You can't have,
Mm.
um, athletes that are 280 pounds putting in 80-mile weeks. It just doesn't work. But I'm curious to hear. Obviously, you've got your coaching business. Curious to hear, like, tell us kind of what kind of philosophy you're leaning into. What's like your average athlete? What kind of stuff are they doing?
Yeah, I think there's a huge place for cross training. I I don't like to I don't know. I kind of hate the idea of having a specific philosophy for everyone. Like I don't think one thing works for everyone, and I think if you ask a somebody their coaching philosophy and they tell you this is how you make everyone better, you run away.
Yeah.
So like I do think like making running and as consistent as possible is kind of like the best thing for most people. And if that's running 20 miles a week and that's all your body can take, that's great. If it's running 140 miles a week, like we have kind of both ends of the spectrum of people that are very injury prone and they cross train more than they run, but every time they run, they're doing something quality, they're doing uh, something good, and they feel good doing it. I think that's the most important thing is being able to get out there every single day.
When you think about for you or your athletes, you're kind of, looking at their year, how much are you kind of planning it out week by week? And like, how much are you like building specific like 16-week builds? Or is it kind of more dynamic in and out every couple days you're making adjustments?
Yeah. So I have tried, and I get too excited every single time, and I try to plan out this big long plan. And I think that it always needs to be changing. So I I never give the athlete the plan because that's always very scary of like what can happen and like what should happen, right? Like if say like you have a little niggle pop up, you shouldn't just continue on the next week of what's happening just because it's on the schedule. Like you should listen to your body and adapt accordingly. So it's usually an ever evolving plan. Like there's a rough idea, right? Like you want to be able to have some confidence in what you're going towards, and it's hard to say like, oh yeah, like if you don't run a little bit, you're not going to be able to finish a 100 miler because it's 100 miles of running. That's quite a bit of running. You got to do some running. But if we can get you there healthy and you're like, wow, this is the most I've ever exercised, and like this is the most consistent I've ever been. Maybe I didn't do a 40-mile long run. That's okay. Like it's more of, as long as you're confident in it, I think that's one of the best things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, no, I've always, the reason I ask that question is like I always think it's interesting when people talk about like these big builds and their plan for this, and I'm like, I have never had like I've the same exact thing. I've had like my 16-week plan, and this is what I'm gonna do, and I've never once had it go like, yep, that whole 4-month period went exactly how I expected. It's
No,
like I
never.
rarely have a week that goes exactly how I expect it. There's like 95% each week maybe, but like there's always a little something that changes. Had to do the remainder of the workout, uh, you know, inside because it was a blizzard and I was supposed to be running on the roads and they were pure ice, right? Or like just little things like that constantly changing. And it's so important to have, a coach and also athletes that are adaptable. Just like in the race, like you're talking about, UTMB is not going to go how you expect it to.
Oh,
You got to
definitely.
be ready to move through whatever comes your way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I think adaptability is a huge asset in an athlete. Like if I try to teach athletes and I like kind of tell them like, hey, if you need me for more than like 10 years, I'm doing something wrong. Like I'm not teaching you how to be adaptable enough of like, if you don't know what to do, say like 10 years down the line, if I'm telling you to do the exact same thing and like, it, I don't know, it's exercising. It's not that crazy complicated. And I think I'm doing something wrong as a coach if I don't help you with your adaptability skills.
Definitely. Inside of like the coaching piece and just for your own performance, what kind of fads or revolutions are you really hot on right now? Obviously, there's like always new technology, supplements, gear. What is something you're like leaning into and really playing with?
Yeah, so I'd actually say I'm I'm backtracking right now.
Mm,
What I my wife and I definitely we get on pads and we definitely do that. Like I've gone the whole like crazy double thresholds. Like I've done two double thresholds and a other workout in 1 week for like a 12-week build. Just because that was interesting. And it kind of worked out. It wasn't like the best, but it was interesting. This summer we tried kind of going towards more of like it it was basically like we saw a few athletes doing super high mileage running, and it's more just like super specific running. Um, and it was, we were running up to 23, 24 hours a week during our specific season. And that's just hard on the body. And I think we were worse off for it. So we're actually like going a little bit backwards of, okay, we're going back to how we both thought it was supposed to be done. Like me coming from a triathlon background, I was like, I don't want to run 20 hours a week because it hurts. And like,
Right.
I'd rather feel good running 10 to 15 hours a week and then get in another 10 hours a week on the bike or other cross training modalities. Like Colorado doesn't have any snow right now, so there's not much good skiing, but hopefully that'll change pretty soon and I can ski again. Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is we're getting back to high volume without high mileage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of support for that. Um, Curious in for you, Tabor, your athletes, how much are you incorporating like weights and strength training?
Um, so with our athletes, we kind of tell them we're not we're not strength coaches. Um, we encourage them to go to strength coaches. If they can't do that, there's we actually work with a company that is called Kinesis. I think the app is called Kinesis, but it's this is a great ad for them. Um, me not even knowing the name of it. It is just like a an app that helps you walk through strength training, and it's a smarter guy than us telling you like how to work through. But my biggest thing with strength training is it's a supplement to running. If your goal is running,
Right.
running should be the top priority, and then everything should make the running better. So it's making it so that you can run better. If that's a mobility issue, we need to work on that. If that's a strength issue, we need to work on that. And if that is like you just want to get stronger, let's do it in a way that it doesn't like ruin your workouts type of deal.
Yeah. So running's the core, running's the most important. When you think about those sessions each week, like how are you setting it up? Doing, like a weekend long run, 2 quality days during the week. What's it look like?
Yeah. For well, it so like I'll just say for like Tabor and I right now, we're not doing a whole lot of long runs. Just because that's that time of year. We're getting in a lot of volume. We're still running quite a bit, but we're not really getting a whole lot of volume in. We're doing a couple workouts on the treadmill a week, but then we find that to be a perfect time right after that to do our strength training. Most of our strength training is more so a durability thing than it is gaining strength. Both of us are relatively strong athletes, and that's not really a hindrance. So we see that as a good place to work on. We're here's a fad that we're hopping on, the muscular endurance. We're trying a little bit through strength training, seeing if we can get that muscular endurance a little bit better. And
Little
we
Scott
do that.
Johnston.
Yeah, we've been trying a little bit of that. Yeah, we love that. We love somebody coming in saying, I don't like I love Scott Johnson because he doesn't say like I have studies that prove this exists. He's just like, I have anecdotal evidence that this works for so many people, and I don't know, like I'm not going to do the studies, but like this works, and people ask like, and I don't know, there's always somebody's poo-pooing it, and he's like, I don't know, I just had both my athletes win UTMB.
I don't understand like how like we call one thing a study or we call one thing science and one not. It's actually kind of like bullshit. Like having the champ in UTMB is a study. That's science. Just because like it wasn't
Yeah,
done in a lab, like champ. Like what are you gonna argue with? Like they both
right.
won.
Yeah, no, it's hard like and when it's going against it's again these
Right.
coaches that they have these like very strict philosophies of that goes against my strict philosophy, so I have to say it's wrong, and I have to
Right.
find one way to say it's wrong. And I don't know, anecdote does drive science, but until you have somebody that's willing to pay how much for a study, it's not going to be quote unquote science, right?
Yeah, I think we got the study. I think the study's over. I think I saw it.
Yeah, I believe in it. Like it makes sense to me.
Obviously, like the argument against that is like there's confounding variables. They both had a good day, blah blah blah. But I'm like they champed it, like And
It's pretty good.
here's what I do really like about Scott Johnson is like the classic thing with like the strength endurance out in the field was always like the downhill impact, right? Like it's
Mhm.
scary to like give somebody um like I'm a hunter, so like I've always been really into rucking because like you have to prepare to like pack out an animal. And like if you've ever packed out an animal or packed out a ruck going down the side of a hill, like it hurts your body. You are
Yeah.
banged up after it. And that's not the kind of thing you want your athletes to go through on a regular basis. And so what did he do with uh what's his name? The guy that
Tom
won,
Tom
Tom
Evans.
Evans. He he goes, okay, we'll go up twice and come down on the gondola. It's like
Yeah.
it's brilliant. It's great.
Yeah. And Ruth, the gal that won,
The water,
she has that, or she has a significant other that'll carry it down for her.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's perfect.
I love. I think it was Ruth that he was saying also that he would just have her carry like I don't know what it was, 4 liters of water or something, and then just dump it out when you get there, and then just
Yep.
come downhill normally. So yeah, I think it's cool, and I think for you, I mean, you guys playing with that kind of stuff, that seems like what's necessary to do the UTMB thing. Like you're really fast. It's just like what UTMB requires is speed plus durability.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the hope, right? Like, and I've not necessarily had that great of success in that 100K distance even, like let alone
Oh, really?
100 mile. Like I've done okay. I'm my harshest critic, so I will always say that I did pretty shit. Um, so like I've done okay at my 100Ks that I've done, but it hasn't been anywhere near kind of the level that I've raced at a 50K. So it's even just a question of like, is that all that I need to do well at 100K distance even?
Yeah, I mean, you're like one of the best 50K runners in the world, so I think that's kind of like stacking yourself up against a pretty high bar.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think I can. I don't think there should be any reason that I can't transfer that over into longer races. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
I think I've had early success because I'm really good at getting fit. Like triathlon taught me that of like, yeah, I know how to train a lot and I know how to run very hard for 3 to 4 hours. Um, but yeah, it's a question of how come I haven't really transferred that quite over to the longer distances.
If you had to guess, let's say it's 5 years from now, you figured it out. What do you think it was that you changed to get there?
Well, so there is kind of another thing that I do have going on that is a bit of an issue. So I did this race, OCC. It's at that same UTMB week, and it was a very hot day. I ran through kind of a significant overheating, and I fried my hypothalamus, which is kind of your heat regulation, and it's been a bit of time recovering that. I've had a few episodes. It That was what happened at Black Canyon last year. Is I overheated, and then even in my other 100K, the CCC race, I overheated weirdly. So it's been a grind of getting that back together. And then
Mm.
I think once I get that, I think my downside would be I'm not great at actually like hydrating. So I think if I
Hmm.
can figure out hydrating, fueling, I think I think I get away with too much in the 50K is what I'm saying.
That was exactly what I was going to say,
Yes.
which is like you shorten that time horizon. It's like, well, what matters is like speed and running talent and economy. You start expanding that. It's like, okay, how can you keep your body happy long enough?
Yep. Yeah. So I do
Interesting.
think the hypothalamus is a thing in itself, but then also I know I'm terrible at fueling. I know I'm terrible at drinking. My very first 50K that I did, which is kind of probably foreshadowing for a lot of the things that I've done in my career already and will probably continue to do. I forgot to eat until mile like 20 because I was chatting with people at the front of the race and ran a really fast marathon, and then I walked for a while.
Yeah. Well, here's the bright side is like those things are like modifiable, right? You
Yeah,
can like you can teach those pretty easily and you can practice that stuff. So I'm excited to see, you know, it's interesting because, and it makes sense, right? You were a short course tri guy. You weren't doing the ultra stuff. And so people might be like, oh, that's weird. He's a triathlete. He should be a fueling fanatic. But that's like the Ironman people, right? You were racing, like screaming heart rate, hammering hills, that kind of guy. And so that transfers really nicely into that like 50K distance.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. That's why I found early success in that distance, is because you can get away with a lot for 3 hours.
Yeah, totally.
If you're running a 50K, like a lot of those California 50Ks, you can get done in 3 to 3.5 hours. Like you can get away with too much for that, and I think that was probably my issues. I got away with too much, and now I need to stop getting away with things.
Well, I'm excited to see what happens when you dial that part in, because the
Thank you.
the talent is obviously off the charts. The fitness is off the charts, so I'm excited to see what happens. When you think about like the race, obviously you're saying, you're your harshest critic. When you think about the race, like so far that's defined your trail running experience, which one are you most proud of, or which one would you hang your hat on?
Yeah, I mean, I think objectively, the best race I've ever had was at that OCC race that I had my overheating issue. I that was by far the biggest win I've ever had, and that is by far cemented me as a trail runner, and that's why I am getting paid to run right now. So it's like that was an easy one to. It's hard to say I've done anything better than that.
Yeah, it's definitely a big stage, right? Like the OCC being part of like the UTMB experience it's different over there, right? Like for them, trails, it's like a national sport, right? There's like legitimately screaming fans. There's packed out streets. It's not like America where you go to the what actually would be the really competitive race, like Desert Rats or something like that, and it's just like 8 people's moms and dads at the
Yeah.
finish line.
Yeah, it's just the families of the racers that are out there.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it
it's a
is.
totally different.
Yeah, it is a very cool thing, and like if you ever get the chance, like being in Chamonix for that week is an absolute experience. It is exactly like that. It's screaming fans everywhere. I could, as soon as I got into town on that race day, OCC's the first race that actually the first of like the championship races, because there's 3 of the championship races. There's another couple races throughout the week, but it's the first championship race that finished, and I could barely hear as soon as I got into town because people were screaming the whole way in. And like you run, I don't know, it's probably a mile into town. Like as soon as you start seeing people, there's a line of people for an entire mile, which is wild considering trail running is such a niche sport.
Yeah, what an incredible experience to like put a day together like that. You're sacrificing so much for that moment. Trail running, obviously, there's a million things that can go wrong. There's a million rocks that could shark an ankle at any time, or you can get bloated from the wrong nutrition. And to put it all together on that kind of stage is just, yeah, I can't imagine what that felt like.
Yeah, absolutely game changing, and something I'm searching for again. It's addicting. You're just like, all right, I'm full fledged. Like I got to get back there.
No, I mean it makes sense, right? It's the competition aspect is there. It's the best of the best. You're lining up against the fastest people in the world, best fans, some of the coolest mountains on earth. I mean, yeah, they've got it all. Well, I'm really hoping to see you in the UTMB lineup just as a fan. That would be really, really cool to see you attack that kind of distance, because you always, it's interesting because the most talented person doesn't always win UTMB. That's kind of an interesting thing with that race. Like you look at these other races like Western States or some of these faster hundreds, and Javelina is a good example. Like the really, really good runners typically win or podium. UTMB is just like, you don't know what's going to happen.
No, every single year it's kind of funny. Like you'll be watching the live stream, but then I'm not going to stay up to watch the whole live stream. Like we'll get out to see some friends late at night, and then I'm like, all right, I need to go to bed. wake up a few hours later to like check on the live stream, see what's going on. Everything's changed. Like all of a sudden you're like, where did the top 10 go?
You're like, Courtney Dauwalter was 8 minutes ahead, and now she's in fifth, hanging
Right.
out with some fans in Switzerland. Like she's not, or,
Yeah.
in Italy or whatever. It's like,
Or, I mean, we watched it took Jim Walmsley like 5 times to win.
yeah,
He dedicated his life to that race, and like one of the like most talented racers and most talented runners there is, but it took him 5 times to win it because there are just so many variables that go into it. Like, so all of a sudden he'd be like winning the race and then pop on the live stream and he'd be sitting with his head between his knees. You're like, no.
yeah. That he was definitely an interesting story. He had to move there and get a French accent in order to win it. That seemed to be the difference maker.
I don't know what the French accent was, but I don't know if he thinks that they understand him a little bit better. They might, I don't know. But yeah, that one took me off guard when he first, like, I've met him a few times now, and like when he talked to you, like all of a sudden he'll throw in a little French accent. You're like, what was that? You're
Yeah, I
American.
remember.
You're from Arizona.
Yeah. That was really funny. I watched the documentary where he's talking about moving over there. I can't remember what they called it, but it might have just been called Jim. But his documentary basically about that whole experience. And yeah, you just slowly hear his voice start shaping into like, it sounds like a French guy trying to speak English. And it's like, you're from Flagstaff, dude. You don't.
We don't know. Maybe that was them, like the French actually like allowing him to win the race eventually. Like they're like, okay, you're French enough now. Now you're allowed to win, because
Now you're
he
allowed to
was the
win.
first American to win, and like, I mean, well, only American to win, right? So they were like, finally, you are French enough, you can win.
Well, I think, Eli, we've just cracked the code. You
I got
need
to be
a
more
French
French.
accent.
Okay, I'll
You
work on
need a
it.
French accent, and you will be the next American to take on UTMB.
I
You
think
heard it
my
here
wife might
first,
kill
folks.
me.
No, she'd love it, dude.
No, she wouldn't.
Well, if she hates it, tell her that I did not come up with it, and it was your own idea.
Yeah, I'll say it was Jim. That's fine.
Yeah, Jim rubbed off on me.
Yeah, it was all Jim.
Well, Eli, it was great to catch up with you and chat. I'm super excited to watch you this season. Hopefully, all the health stuff figures itself out, and you're able to really attack that 100-mile distance, because I think it could be really, really exciting for the sport. So I'm stoked to see it.
No, thank you so much for having me on, and yeah, it's good to chat with you. Hope
Absolutely.
hope the same.
Yeah, well, I'll be watching closely. And yeah, if you're ever around Morrison, let me know. I'll be around.
For sure.
All right, dude. Thanks, guys. Until next time, stay wild.